Happy to see you again this year, and very pleased to be the chair again of the Planning and Economic Development Committee. We have Councilmember Sundberg with us, and hopefully Councilmember Gardner shortly. So we'll go ahead and convene the meeting for January 10th and call the meeting to order. So there's two of us that can approve the minutes. Were you good with the minutes, Councilmember Sundberg?
Was.
Okay, same here. So those have been approved. And then we'll just jump right in. We have kind of a short agenda today, but we'll start with the recap of what we covered last year. So I'll turn it over to Janine.
Yes, thank you very much, Janine Rustad, Director of Planning and Development Services. And as Council Member or Chair Bergan indicated, we'll recap everything that was accomplished last year by this committee and then give you a brief preview of what's to come for this year. So next slide, please, Crystal. This is a pretty lengthy list, and I think there's a lot to be proud of here. There were 6 resulting ordinance or UDO amendments. The first being the turf amendments to the UDO to line up with the turf ordinance adopted by Council for Water Department. As you are aware, this puts Aurora really in the cutting edge in how we view turf. The second was there were some cleanups regarding the ordinance for the PROS director, clarifying parks and open space provisions, and then various sections of landscape dimensional parking standards. We try to clean up the UDO as we are finding things that aren't working. The ordinance, there was an ordinance clarifying the designation of the floodplain manager, and then amending and clarifying drainage approval authority with some changes within the city. So resolutions, we had 2 involving oil and gas operating agreements. Those are the first and the last in the list here. We had an IGA with the CAB, Prairie Point CAB, for ownership and maintenance of certain public improvements. Sponsored by Councilmember Chair Bergan, we are improving the HOA notification process. That resolution is adopted. We're still awaiting for Amanda to catch up so that we can implement that. And then the PED recommended, and it was adopted by Council, to develop a development review incentive program, and that is ongoing with the various development review departments. Several projects, 4 were approved for initiation, 1 unanimously by Council, and very exciting, we're kicking off phase 2 shortly, was the request for the study of a large performing arts venue. There was a Northeast Aurora fiscal impact analysis. Economic development strategy, actually, while that made it through PED the first time, it has not progressed. However, we are working on pieces of that, recognizing the importance of the city. And then monument signs, that was moved forward and is still, the details are still being worked out. So projects that did not move forward was a prairie dog relocation ordinance that was withdrawn by its sponsor. And then the original Aurora Community Development Plan, again, something we are still looking at. So next slide. Red tape, the work from that committee is ongoing and improvements are being made, and you'll see more of that this year. We, of course, gave you the annual report of development review and then quarterly updates of our progress. Development services presentations and updates included retail strategy, and we are starting with retail quarterly reports. We talked about opportunity zones. We had 2 presentations on ICSE, both the reconnaissance that we had done and then the conference update and the success we had there. You heard from Bob Oliva. We had a small business event update, the 2023 retail update, and then an office market update because, of course, things have changed since the pandemic. Next slide, please. Project presentations, the Northeast Aurora and Aerotropolis development update was given. There was a Fitzsimmons Colfax Station area and 13th Avenue Station area plan update, and more to come on that today. And then the original Aurora Special District discussion that made it through PED, but not through the AURA session. General updates and presentations at the request of a former PED member. We heard about code enforcement violations for Aurora businesses. From our partner AEDC, they presented on data center infrastructure because, of course, while data centers are important infrastructure, we want to make sure we're right sizing for our needs in the city and our business needs. We heard about AD Works. Another one that was brought forward, Careers in Construction Colorado presentation. There was the Aurora Business Outreach report, how we're marketing Aurora for business, both from the city, AEDC, and the chamber, and Visit Aurora. And then HOA registration update. Again, that is something that's ongoing. And then we had the annual oil and gas division update in November. Next slide, please. So any questions about what we did in 2023 before I get to the preview of another exciting year?
None from me, Councilmember Sundberg.
None from me yet.
Great. So we are already looking ahead to 2024 and what we can accomplish through this committee. First is we will be following up on the HOA registration and notice. Specifically, this is requiring 2 points of contact for the HOAs so that if one person moves, goes off the board, what have you, we make sure we are getting notice to the HOAs of development applications. And then we will also be following up on the Development Review Incentive Program. Retail is very important to the city, so we'll have a recap next month of 2023, and we'll be looking ahead to what we hope to accomplish in 2024. We'll be having quarterly retail updates in addition to that recap. We'll go over retail strategy, annual goals, and project pipelines, and of course, the all-important ICSC, both previewing that and then giving you a recap. Big projects this year, currently in process is an update of the Fitzsimmons Innovation Community Master Plan. Big visions for that area to grow on or to capitalize on the growth that has already happened. We want to bring to you more updates on Airtropolis, Inland Port, and Spaceport. Aurora Places, it's coming from having worked in jurisdictions across the country. It's a comprehensive plan that we should be proud of. However, our action items, Chapter 7, we've accomplished much of those. So we need to revisit that. And probably with the new council, I hear there might be the will to look at a little more of the plan. So we'll hear you on that. And then other area-wide planning area efforts, including the 13th Avenue Station. Of course, we want to hear from our partners. My team here knows that one of my favorite words is partnerships. That's what makes Aurora such a great city. So we'll hear from oil and gas, of course, AEDC, the Business Advisory Board. We not on here. We hope to bring in the Chamber in March or April. The SBDC, hear about the great work that they continue to do in the city, along with our city small business advising. And then I do have the Aurora Chamber. And of course, we invite any of our partners that want to present on business and planning matters to contact us, and we'd be happy to work them in the schedule. So Councilmember Bergan, we spoke with you yesterday, but any other things from any of the committee members that you'd like to see in 2024?
No, I mean, I think we had a good discussion yesterday, just looking, as we mentioned, some of these things will organically just come up that we are not thinking of right today. So you guys always do a great job, and I know our calendars will fill up with with great presentations. So thank you.
I-
Councilmember Slipper. Oh,
I should mention that the two that we discussed is, of course, there are going to be many development process improvements that you'll hear about. Starting, one of them is our master planning process for planning. But another one, Councilmember Bergan, that's important to you is we are looking at trees in the streetscape and streetscape landscaping. So you can anticipate hearing about those as well.
very good. Yeah, I know we need to make some tweaks. We've heard from some of the development communities, so that would be great. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councilmember Sundberg.
I see here HOA registration and notice. I see value in having HOA presidents and or vice presidents current with respect to passing relevant and pertinent information on to HOAs, whether that's a town hall meeting or important information that could relate to a neighborhood. What do we do to maintain current registration of the most currently elected board members there, especially the president? And are they required to register with the city, for example?
They are required to register with the city with community housing and community services. It is very hard. There's no enforcement action here. And when I looked into this last year, even with the state, there are hundreds of HOA statewide that fail to do so. I myself live in an HOA that we have a management company, but we don't have a board. So a lot of them they go dormant. It's a challenge.
And some of them are voluntary versus actual, I guess, official homeowner associations. I think like Mission Viejo is a voluntary one.
Gotcha. How about metro districts? That was probably a little more structured there with respect to how they are registering with the city and keeping things current. Except for Murphy Creek.
They're definitely registered with us, right?
I believe so, and I'm looking to see if I have anyone. I was hoping Jacob was here who might be able to answer more of those questions.
Janine, I can help fill, and I know Brian
you.
is on and could perhaps correct me if I'm wrong, but the metropolitan districts as separate governmental entities work through DOLA on annual reports, and then they are required to also send us annual reports as well. And in terms of membership, we formally rely on the DOLA website to stay up to speed on membership and any changes there. Brian, did I say anything incorrect?
No, Laura, that's correct. I would just add that they are also obligated to give us an annual report, and in that annual report is the contact information. So I know that Chesterina Dancy and ODA is working through the annual reports that we've recently received to make sure that all districts are filing those as they're required to.
Thank you.
And I'll just add, I think one of the challenges, Councilmember Sundberg, is when we do send information out like we did on the snow removal, that they're able to now participate if they enter an agreement with the city, they can do their own plowing. But I think sometimes the disconnect is we'll send the information to the HOA or the Metro District, but it doesn't get necessarily communicated with their residents. So hoping to also maybe improve those communications.
Thanks for the info.
Okay. Anything else, Janine?
No, just that we look forward to working with you this year.
Great. Well, thank you. Okay, so what is next on? No, I lost my agenda. Next is the Strong Communities Infrastructure Grant application. And is that Jennifer that's presenting?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year. Today, I get the happy task of letting the committee know that the city has been invited to apply for the DOLA Strong Communities Infrastructure Grant. This is a state grant through the Department of Local Affairs, and it requires a resolution of support from council, which is why I'm here this morning to tell you about it and ask for your support. So I spoke about this briefly at PED back in September or August. Last year, I spoke about it briefly in the context of our station area plan update. This map shows the boundaries of our planning area. We're looking at the Colfax station and the 13th Avenue station and all of the properties around there. And we'll be launching that this year, January and February, March. We already are working behind the scenes. We haven't scheduled our public meeting yet, but we have already launched into this process. And the impetus for the process is two really attractive development opportunities near the 13th Avenue station. They're on this graphic here. The northern one is the RTD property. That property has the potential to accommodate up to 430 new housing units, affordable or mixed income housing units. And then to the south of Tollgate Creek, the orange property in this graphic is the Bach Homes property. This is privately owned, and this is a privately proposed housing development that could accommodate close to 600 units. So altogether, we're looking at 1,000 new homes right near transit. The catch or the challenge, of course, is access. Both of these properties right now are on dead-end streets. Dillon Way serves Bach Homes, 13th Avenue serves RTD, and then they dead end. But by connecting the two with a bridge over Tollgate Creek, we can provide secondary access to both of these properties and then satisfy the fire and life safety requirements that would allow dense development here, which is what we want to maximize our public investment in the station and to encourage infill development, which is a much more efficient use of our existing infrastructure, our fire stations, our schools, our libraries. It's great to put people where we already have infrastructure. So moving on, here's a graphic that shows a little bit more detail for the RTD site. This came from a charrette that we conducted in October 2022. The planning department did this in partnership with Housing and Community Development, and we hired an architect to come and facilitate sessions to explore what could happen on this site. So we looked at all the constraints and opportunities, and this particular concept shows kind of a maximum potential build out on that site. And there's a variety of uses. Starting on the south, there are some townhomes, which would be affordable for sale townhomes. Then moving north, there's a small project that would be permanent supportive housing. Then in the middle of the plan, there's more of a traditional affordable apartment project proposed. And then on the far north side at Ultimate Build Out, it looked at taking the RTD parking lot entirely and turning it into a mixed income apartment project with a parking garage. So altogether, we're looking at over 400 units possible on this site. Looking on the south side, on the Bach Homes property, this is one of their concepts. It shows 3 different apartment buildings in the center of the site, large apartment buildings, 5 stories, and then on the perimeter of the site, some rental townhomes. And they're looking at, close to 600 units for their site. Okay, more details about the grant. As I mentioned at PED in the fall, we are actively looking for grants to help pay for the infrastructure in this station area. And a strong possibility is this one, the Strong Communities Infrastructure Grant. I mean, honestly, it really seems like a godsend because it really matches up with our goals here, which are to encourage infill affordable housing, and they provide funding for infrastructure in support of that. So it really does seem like we meet the criteria and the vision and the goals of the grant program. So we are very optimistic. Here's the grant timeline. This began back in August 2023 when we submitted a letter of intent. And then most recently in December, the end of December, they let us know that we are invited to apply. And the application is due at the beginning of February 2nd. So that's a tight timeline for our application. So that's why I'm here today. We're at PED today to explain the application and the grant. With your blessing, we would take this on to the next regular city council meeting, which is the 22nd of this month. And that resolution of support would include a waiver of reconsideration just because of the timeline for the grant application on February 2nd. What we're asking for? We're asking for $4 million, and that's the grant maximum. And that would help to support the design and construction for the bridge and the access roads. That grant requires a 20% local match, so that $800,000 would come from AURA and there would be the possibility of repayment of those funds if and when a URA is established in this area and TIF revenues begin to flow. Here's a detailed drawing of the bridge concept. This was produced by our Public Works team back in 2020, and it shows the extension of the roads and the bridge. And at that time, they estimated the cost of the northern road and the bridge to be $7.6 million. So it's not cheap. Here's a graphic from the blight study that was conducted in 2019. This area has been declared blighted by council, and that's the first step towards establishing a URA in this area. Next steps include, once Bach Homes has better definition of what their plan will be and what their unit mix would be, we would run some numbers, we would generate an impact report, we would take that report with a draft urban renewal plan to our other taxing partners in the area and ask for their support for this project. What is the competition for the grant? It's stiff. The available funding is $33.6 million. I believe these are one-time ARPA funds. So this is our one chance to get our fingers in the pot. There were 58 entities that responded with an LOI back in August, and that field was reduced down to 19 that were invited to apply. So we made it into the top third. However, it's still very competitive. All those 19 entities represent 2 times the amount of money available. So we're still definitely crossing our fingers. And then wrapping up with our 2 questions for the committee. First is, do you support the grant application, and do you support bringing that resolution of support to council? And then finally, Councilmember Bergan, as PED chair, would you be willing to sponsor this item?
Okay. Councilmember Sundberg, do you have questions?
Yes, I am in support of affordable housing and continuously see the need for transitional type housing. Let's see. So the location, is it adjacent to that maintenance facility of RTD, or is that
Right.
thing going to be replaced, or?
It is immediately south of the bus barn, so to speak. It is right next to the station. So right now there is a large RTD parking lot, about 220 or 40 spaces. And then south of the parking lot, there's vacant ground. So the concepts that we looked at would build first on the vacant ground and then work its way north towards the station, slowly redeveloping the parking, which is very underutilized. On a typical day, there's maybe 5 cars in that lot.
Makes sense. And then I didn't quite understand the bridge. Is that a pedestrian bridge spanning the highway, or?
No, this is a vehicle and pedestrian bridge. There would be sidewalks on both sides of the street, but it's mainly a vehicular bridge across the creek. And so on this graphic, it's the white area, and it's bridging Tollgate Creek. And so Dillon Way would come up from 6th Avenue. It would continue. Right now, it dead ends at a cul-de-sac in the apartment community there. But it would continue north through the Bach Homes property to the bridge that we've proposed. And then there would be another access road continuing from the north side of the bridge that goes up through the RTD property and connects to 13th Avenue.
Okay, thank you for that explanation. Yes, I see the need for supply of housing at this level, and it seems like an ideal location in relation to the medical campus and transit. Thank you.
Yes, we met with the campus planners just yesterday to talk about our 13th Avenue planning process, and they said, housing, housing, housing. That is our #1 need. After that, they'd love to see a daycare and a grocery store, but housing, housing, housing is what they want.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions. You mentioned the 2 potential development opportunities, the Bach Homes, and then the other one that would be, I wrote it down on here. Anyway, so are those definite? Like they're definitely in the process of applying with the city?
They're at different stages. Bach Homes is farther along. They applied for their rezoning back in June. Council unanimously approved it. So they are now working on developing their site plan. They are the property owners. It's a company, it's a development and housing company out of Utah. It's a family-owned business, and they're not just developers, they also are owners. So they find sites, they develop property, and they hold it long-term for income. So they have a very long-term view of this property. They're not a typical developer that comes in and does it and stabilizes it and then sells it off to a REIT. I mean, they're in it for the long haul. And so they would move first. They would be the first to develop. And then assuming we can get this grant and we can get momentum and prove that the bridge is a reality, then RTD will move forward on issuing an RFP for development on their property.
Okay, so it's RTD on the other one. Okay. Yeah, because I was just wondering if we got the grant and then nobody built, that would not be a good thing. So
it's been a chicken and an egg sort of situation all along. And so this grant would inject some serious momentum behind both projects.
okay, and then just in terms of the schedule, the process, you said that it is already was designated blight in 2019, but it still needs to have the TIF designation. So that is okay to happen after the grant application, not before?
Yes, there's no requirement in the grant application for where the funding will come from. We're fortunate that we have urban renewal as a source. It's one of the few tools that we have that would work in this situation. So no, that can come later. And we're at this point where we're kind of on hold, because in order to get the other taxing jurisdictions to partner with us, we really need to provide them a level of detail that we can't produce until Bach is more sure of what their exact plan is, because they're the project that will be generating the increment primarily.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you. And I'm good moving this forward. Councilmember Sundberg,
So I am too.
and good with sponsoring.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
When will we have an update, by the way, on it? I know you mentioned the deadline.
Yes, DOLA is not, they don't like to commit to a date. And so far it's taken them a little longer than they expected. Like, we had thought that we would hear in November, and it took them an extra month. So we've been told spring. It's all kind of vague, but the idea is that they want to have grant agreements in place by August. So I assume they would let the recipients know in spring, and then they take a few months to work out the details. And then by August, everyone's good to go and start spending money. There is a deadline. You have to spend the money by October 2026. So it benefits everyone to nail this down quickly, so people can start hiring the people they need to do the work.
Well, that does bring up something, because I know we're looking at, some other projects with AURA, not AURA, but with ARPA monies. I know it has to be spent by the end of 26, but I thought you had to actually have it in the budget. Like, I thought we had to have that like beginning of 24. No, we were told that on some other projects.
I'm not sure how it relates to city ARPA money, but from DOLA's perspective, we have to spend the grant money by 2026. And we don't have to have the housing built yet, but we have to spend the infrastructure money by then.
Right, but if you're not, you're not going to have a bridge built that quickly.
Well, we'll have some engineering done, and it could be.
Okay, I see Andrea has her hand up.
Sorry, I was trying to unmute. Thank you, Commissioner Andrea Amanek from Development Services. With regard to the ARPA funds, the city's ARPA funds have to be committed or encumbered by the end of 2024. And so programs that are funded with those with monies that the city received, other state and federal agencies, but to the best of my knowledge, the requirement for expense of the funds is by the end of 2026.
Okay.
So you're looking for an encumbrance at least for city programming, by the end of 2023.
Yeah, I think I had asked about some parks improvements and was told we couldn't use the ARPA money because we had not, that they had to be encumbered like immediately and that we missed the deadline, but it looks like we still have time with some of the ARPA monies to still encumber those monies. So, okay, thank you. Anything else? Councilmember Sundberg, you're good?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll move on to miscellaneous matters, and I don't think we have any reports from anyone. Aurora Chamber of Commerce, I guess we have it in the agenda packet. Is there anybody from any of the outside organizations that want to give a quick update? Yes, go ahead.
Oh. Hi, it's Chance. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, Chance.
Hi, Happy New Year, everyone. I just wanted to welcome everyone to join us at onhavanastreet.com. We have an assortment of different giveaways for the new year featuring different businesses along the corridor. And then many of the city staff and different departments joined us last year for our networking event. We're going to have it on January 24th. We had over 135 stakeholders attend, and so there'll be some appetizers and drinks and happy hour. It's 3 to 5 p.m. at the Mariscos. It's the former Village Inn. It's a Mexican seafood restaurant. And then I just wanted to announce that we also are going to host the first Lunar New Year in Aurora at the Stampede on February 4th from 12 to 6. It's a Sunday, and welcome you to join us in the diverse global community to celebrate the first Lunar New Year. In addition to that, I know at this meeting I typically announce a lot of the grand openings. The more recent ones that I just wanted to share are the Maverick at Havana and Jewel, and then also the Ace Hardware at Gardens on Havana. I know many of the representatives at PED have been asking about that space because that was the former Toys R Us space before, and now it is fulfilled by Ross and Ace Hardware. We have a bunch of other new openings also coming to the district, and I hope to give you guys those updates in February. Again, Happy New Year. Look forward to seeing you folks on Havana Street, and very grateful for your continued support of our special district. Thank you.
Thank you, Chance. And then is Yuri? I can't tell if you're on.
Yeah, I'm here. Good morning.
Oh, you're all blurry.
Am I? Oh, that's not good.
It could be my eyes.
And it could be my signal, so I could probably stop video if you can hear me okay.
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. So yeah, good morning. Thanks for giving me a few minutes. Wanted to just also in unison with Janine, just kind of summarize what we accomplished last year, kind of give you a few tidbits of what we're focusing on this year, if you don't mind. And we did have a pretty good year in terms of deals and jobs coming in last year. We closed twice as many deals as a trailing average, which is usually about a dozen, right? So it's twice that of last year. They're a bit smaller. There weren't any headline grabbing ones, but really good industries, aviation, advanced manufacturing, cold storage. I think we had some building suppliers, healthcare related companies come in. So had a good year. We're still trying to total all the job numbers, but good paying jobs. We only incentivized one project and at the local level, and then 2 at the state level got approval. So that's good news that most of these companies are doing it on their own. We worked on a lot of workforce development issues, of course, talent being number one concern for a lot of these companies relocating. They kept asking us about school districts and where housing was going in and what people could afford and amenities and all of that. So had good conversations and brought in a lot of partners to those conversations, associations like the AGC, manufacturers, all those kind of groups, as well as the CCA, Pickens, those kind of educational institutions to talk about what the pipeline of people is in our community. So had great progress there. We wanted to, part of our strategic planning, internal strategic planning that Councilmember Bergan was a part of, we wanted to focus on some ready sites, we're going to call them. So I'll be working with the planning department on that. I'll also be working with the planning department on designating sort of overlay areas for specific industries, such as manufacturers, such as data centers that have come up obviously the last couple of years. So want to be mindful of those folks coming in. And then, the trends that we're following this year that we've heard over the last couple days and couple weeks, 2024 is going to be good, but measuredly, right? So there's some headwinds still at the macro level. We think we're predicting a bit of a slower pace of companies making decisions. So even though developments have gone in there, and kudos to Laura and everybody else that Jacob that have worked on getting timelines better and figured out, I think we have heard that from the marketplace that there's some sentiment that there's been improvement and that folks are positive that things will continue to get better. But I think companies will end up making decisions on a longer time frame, right? If the average time frame was, hey, 6 months from now we want to know what we're doing, I think that might be extended to a year just because of some certain uncertainties in the marketplace, more broadly speaking. So we'll try to stay on it and get ahead of it, and we'll be excited to work with everybody here on some of these issues. So thanks for the time.
Thank you, Yuri. Appreciate it. I think I saw Brad Pierce had his hand up, and then maybe Naomi.
Yeah, thank you, Councilmember Bergan. Just wanted to announce on the Oil and Gas Advisory Committee, we still have one vacancy for an industry applicant. It can be an operator, somebody from a company like Civitas or Crestone or Axis. It can also be a service company, like a company who drills the wells, completes the wells, does the servicing of the wells. So just want to announce or reiterate, we have a vacancy on our committee. So the applicant does not have to live in the city of Aurora, but the company they work for is registered to perform oil and gas services in the city. So anybody who's interested can go to the city website under boards and commissions and submit an application, and then we'll have a full contingent of our 11 folks on our committee. So
I'm
thank you very much.
wondering if Jeffrey Moore could reach out to some of our, maybe operators or.
Yeah, I don't know if Jeffrey's on the call, but yeah, we have talked to him and his staff about kind of reaching out and advertising that we have a vacancy. So I think we'll continue to try and do that, but just want to announce this at this meeting, and hopefully we get an applicant to apply.
Okay, thank you. I see
Thank
Jeffrey.
you.
Is that you?
Yes, thank you.
Can we reach out and just let them know we have a vacancy?
Yes, I certainly will. And I would add that we're going to have 2 more vacancies coming up in the summer because there are 2 members that are currently term limited, and their terms will be expiring at the end of June. So we'll make sure that we're having a meeting next week, and we'll be talking about some opportunities for getting that information out through city channels and as many channels as possible.
Okay, and when those terms expire, we can still reappoint for another new term, right? It's not like there's a lifetime expiration on it.
There is in the bylaws, they're limited to 3 consecutive terms.
Oh, okay.
Once they've reached, and we do have 2 members that have served since the beginning of this committee, which is really awesome. But this is the end of their 3rd term. And so they would have to be out for a term, and then they could reapply in the future if they wish.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. Naomi?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Just wanted to make sure, I volunteered for March, and I'll come in with a little bit of a future planning on what the chamber's doing. So we'll give you a bigger presentation, but we wanted to make sure that we were just touching base with you and letting you know with the changes that we're having, some of the things that we are continuing to do, but we will see probably some new changes coming down the pike through with the new year. So I'm excited that we'll be able to present to you and let you kind of know what we're doing. Really been enjoying and appreciating the partnership with AED. So Yuri, hey buddy, it's nice to see you. Good morning. Want to make sure that you do know that we do have the state of the base that's coming up. Our Defense Council and Buckley Air Space Force Base is hugely important to the chamber. So that will be one of our top focuses that we will be paying attention to in regards to what's going on over there. So Colonel Dexter is required to give a state of the base every year. We like to embrace that and make it into a bigger production than what she's required to do. But we will have that going on the 24th. We partner with the Aurora Rotary Group will be over at the DoubleTree on Iliff and 225. So just want to make sure you guys have the opportunity. Gosh, I want to say over the last 25 years that I've known about this event, we've been at over $1 billion of economic impact military construction over at Buckley. So it's huge for our community, and I think it's important that we pay attention to that. There's some legislation that's going on down at the Capitol that we're going to be really paying attention to as well. So I'll probably just make sure that we bring that to the forefront as we go along, just making sure that we're communicating a little bit better with you guys in regards to what we're doing. So just looking forward to the new year. So many exciting things that we're going to do. I'll come back in March and give you guys an update, but if there's anything you guys need, let's get together for lunch or coffee. I'm happy to meet individually just so that everybody's up to date on what we're doing and kind of the changes we're making on here. So appreciate it so much. Thanks so much, guys. Happy New Year.
Thank you, Naomi. Becky Hogan, did you want to give a report on planning and zoning?
I do, just briefly. We have 2 items this evening, Wednesday, yes, this evening coming before the Planning and Zoning Commission. Let's see. In the month of January, we will be reviewing our bylaws to make sure that we are doing our highest and best work for City Council and for the City of Aurora. We also have let's see, I just drew a big blank spot. Françoise, pardon me for my senior moment. We've had
all the time.
We are looking forward to council's response. We do have 2 planning commissioners that are up for reappointment that have shown interest in continuing their service on planning commission. Once we have your formal response, then hopefully we will continue this year with the same group and have that kind of consistency. Finally, on a personal note, we have an opportunity this week to entertain a delegation from Songnam City, Korea, who are our sister city. We have 16 delegates coming in. We have the mayor and 5 city council members. We also have two representatives from the planning department in Songnam City. So we've got a whole 2-day tour for these folks with different receptions for you to be able to meet and greet these folks. But they're literally coming from halfway around the world to see our city and to meet you, whether it's staff or whether it is city council members. So I'm hoping that you will be able to make some time just to come by, shake their hands, meet and greet them. And I am sure that they will extend an invitation for you to come see them in Songnam City.
And
So
that's Thursday, right? This Thursday or tomorrow.
It'll be Thursday, yes, at the Aurora History Museum. And if you would like to come, that is by invitation from Min Soo Song in the city. And then Friday, we are hosting a private dinner, a farewell dinner for the delegation at Seoul Barbecue, which will be filled with fun food, soju, which is Korean liquor. And then we are going to Launchpad for a craft brew tasting because they don't have that type of thing. And they're actually looking for microbrews to come over to South Korea. Yuri has been a great partner as well as the On Havana bid. These folks, we couldn't do it without both of them because the business to business exchange is extremely important as we expand. And South Korea has a very strong business contingency. So it's about economic development as well as building relationships. That's it.
All right. Well, thank you, Becky. Yeah, I'm going to try to make it tomorrow evening. So
perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other reports that I have missed? Okay. I think we're out early and the next meeting is it's on Valentine's, February 14th. So we'll see you then. Wear pink or red. Everyone have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Thank you.
New Year.